Hey, yeah, you, the ones still awake, the ones whose silence scares louder than screaming ever could. Let me say this slow, because this part costs money, sleep, and sanity to understand. OMG, they bankrupted themselves, trying to figure you out. And now, nighttime doesn't feel quiet anymore. It feels like a threat. They thought you were simple, predictable. Another line item, another variable. Another problem they could solve with spreadsheets, meetings, and men who talk too much. They were wrong. You didn't shout. You didn't warn. You didn't explain yourself like a good little liability. You just watched. And that's where the damage started. See, monsters don't announce themselves. Predators don't post updates. The most dangerous thing in a room is the person who understands the rules and chooses not to react to them. You let them talk. You let them laugh. You let them think. And while they were busy labeling you quiet, harmless, irrelevant, you were mapping exits they didn't know existed. They hired analysts, consultants, experts, paid invoices with commas in them, all to answer one question they were too afraid to ask out loud. Why doesn't this person behave like the rest? That's when the nights started changing, because silence, when it doesn't crack, becomes expensive. They replayed conversations at 3:17 a.m., reread messages looking for hidden meanings that weren't written, but were felt. They started noticing things, your timing, your restraint, the way you never rushed, even when cornered. You didn't move when they expected panic. You didn't break when pressure was applied. You didn't beg when leverage was supposed to work. And that's when fear stopped being loud. It got quiet. They burned money trying to simulate you. Models failed. Projections collapsed. Every version of you they predicted did the wrong thing, because you weren't playing their game. You were studying them, their impatience, their ego, their addiction to control. You learned when they overextend, when they bluff, when they assume silence means surrender. It doesn't. Silence means calculation. Now look at them. Locks checked twice, lights left on, phone screens glowing in dark rooms like confessions they'll never say out loud. Because nighttime used to mean rest. Now nighttime means questions. What do they know? When will they move? Did we already lose and just haven't been told yet? They scroll. They spiral. They imagine you connecting dots you never even acknowledged publicly. And the worst part? They don't know if you're done. You never threatened them. You never promised revenge. You never raised your voice. You let their own imagination do the work. And imagination is ruthless when it's fed uncertainty. They spent fortunes trying to decode your restraint. They tried to provoke you, to bait reactions, to force a reveal, but you stayed calm. And calm, when it refuses to crack, feels like a loaded weapon sitting on a table nobody wants to touch. Here's the truth they finally realized too late. You weren't hiding, you were waiting, not for permission, not for approval, for alignment, for timing, for the moment when their defenses were made of debt, doubt, and exhaustion. And now every quiet night feels like a countdown they don't control. So yeah, because you understood something they didn't. People destroy themselves faster when they think they're close to answers. They mistook your patience for hesitation. They confused your restraint with fear. They thought if they waited long enough, you'd crack, confess, collapse into something manageable. So they waited, and while they waited, their balance sheets bled, resources drained, allies questioned loyalty. Sleep became fragmented, short, violent naps interrupted by thoughts they couldn't turn off. Because you stayed consistent, not loud, not reactive, not emotional. Consistent. That's what broke them. You see, chaos is easy to dismiss. Anger is predictable. Desperation has a smell. But consistency under pressure? That's terrifying. It tells people you're operating from a place deeper than impulse. It suggests preparation they never witnessed. It implies a plan they were never invited to. So they rewound memories. Every interaction suddenly felt suspicious. Why didn't they respond then? Why did they pause before answering that question? Why didn't they take the obvious win? Because you weren't chasing wins. You were shaping outcomes. Nighttime became interrogation without witnesses. Ceilings stared back at them. Shadows stretched into accusations. Every quiet moment turned into a courtroom where their own thoughts cross-examined them without mercy. They started hearing your silence everywhere. In unread messages, in delayed responses, in the absence of closure. Silence followed them home. Silence sat at the edge of the bed. Silence asked questions they couldn't answer. They tried one last thing: control, rules, deadlines, artificial urgency. They assumed pressure would force movement. It didn't. You didn't flinch. And that's when realization hit them like a delayed echo. You were immune to the levers they relied on. No panic, no greed, no need for validation. They couldn't rush you because you weren't late. They couldn't threaten you because you weren't attached. They couldn't bait you because you weren't hungry. You were finished becoming. From that moment on, every night felt unsafe. Because nights are when truths surface, when distractions fade, when people are alone with the possibility that they misjudged someone fundamentally. They didn't fear what you did, they feared what you might still do. Without warning, without spectacle, without permission. You became a question mark they couldn't erase, and question marks cost money. So they paid, again and again, consultations, contingencies, backup plans for backup plans. All while you remained unchanged, unbothered, watching the clock they couldn't see. And here's the part they'll never admit. They weren't afraid of losing to you. They were afraid that you had already won, quietly, long before they realized the game had started. That's why nighttime feels like a threat now. Because the dark reminds them of what they don't know. Because once fear settles in, it doesn't stay polite. It starts rearranging priorities. They began canceling plans, avoiding conversations, second-guessing people they once trusted without blinking. Why? Because when someone like you exists in the equation, certainty becomes a luxury. Every confident decision suddenly felt reckless. Every bold move felt exposed. They started asking themselves a question they never had to before. What if this is exactly what they want us to do? That question alone can bankrupt empires. You didn't chase leverage, you became it. By not needing anything from them, you removed their favorite weapon. By refusing to explain yourself, you denied them narrative control. By staying calm while stakes rose, you rewired the entire power dynamic. Power hates ambiguity. And you were nothing but ambiguity wrapped in composure. They started mistaking coincidence for strategy. A delay felt intentional, a silence felt deliberate. Even your absence felt planned. That's when paranoia stopped being irrational and started being logical. Because patterns don't need to be real to be convincing. They just need to be possible. And with you, everything felt possible. Night after night, they replayed your presence. Not what you said, but what you didn't. The moments you could have spoken and chose not to. The chances you had to react and didn't. The way you let others expose themselves while you stayed neutral. They realized too late. You never interrupted them because you were letting them finish themselves. Their confidence eroded quietly. No explosions, no scandals, just hesitation. That tiny pause before making decisions. That extra meeting that wasn't needed. That let's wait that slowly turned into we can't move. You didn't stop them. You made them stop themselves. They tried reassurance. Told each other you weren't that deep. That they were overthinking. That not everyone is playing a long game. But reassurance doesn't work at 2:41 a.m. Not when the room is dark. Not when the phone lights up with no notifications. Not when the brain starts connecting dots it refuses to let go of. Because deep down, they knew. You weren't improvising. You were observing, and observation, when paired with restraint, feels like surveillance. They imagined you noticing shifts in tone, tracking inconsistencies, logging reactions they didn't even realize they were giving away. Whether you were or not didn't matter. What mattered was that they believed you could. Belief shapes behavior. Fear shapes outcomes. You never claimed superiority. You never asserted dominance. You let time do the talking. Time exposed impatience. Time punished arrogance. Time rewarded stillness. While they spent energy reacting, correcting, scrambling, you conserved. And conservation always wins against panic. Eventually, they understood something irreversible. They couldn't intimidate you. They couldn't rush you. They couldn't predict you. Which meant they couldn't control you. And for people who built their entire identity around control, that realization hits harder than loss.